Hello and welcome to a very special episode of NPC Next Portable Console. Today, we're talking about, the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm one of your co-hosts, Federico and I'm joined, as always, by John Voorhees. Hello, John.
Hey, Federico. Happy Switch 2 Day. I could not be more happy and I could not be more happy and excited right now. It's been, in a lot of ways, this show, when we planned it, we're like, the Switch 2 was heavily on our minds when we planned it. We wanted to get started. We wanted to cover a lot of handhelds, but we always knew that there was going to be a big spike of excitement once the Switch 2 came out, and here we finally are. It's really nice.
Yeah, and as we'll talk about in a couple of minutes, Brendon is not here with us for this main episode. This main episode of NPC is coming out early because we just want to get our Nintendo Switch 2 first impressions out there as soon as possible. But we will be doing NPC XL, that is our Patreon-only version of NPC, with Brendon from Japan, and that's going to come out later. I currently am in possession, it's in the other room right now, of Brendon's Nintendo Switch 2. It's in a box in my living room. And as soon as we're done, I gotta take measurements and weigh the package so that I can ship it off using DHL or something. I don't know. I'll prepare the shipment tonight. And so it'll go off to Brendon in Japan before I leave for California. And getting these Nintendo Switches has been an adventure.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because it's been kind of wild. And by the way, XL will be coming out early as well, which means that there will not be any episodes next Tuesday. Federico and I are going to be in California for Apple's WWDC conference anyway, so it all kind of works out. We're going to get these episodes out as quickly as possible, and then you'll have a little breather for a week to enjoy your new Switches if you got one, and then we'll be back to the regular schedule after that. But we should talk about this because we thought that of all the people in our group of friends who would have the Switch first, it would be you, Federico Vitici, because after all, you have Marco.
That's correct. And I guess by talking about it on a podcast so many times, I jinxed myself. That's what happened.
Yes, you did.
Because as it turns out, I got it last. In fact, I've only been able to play with it for like 30 minutes right before sitting down here and recording this episode.
Well, Brendon is technically getting it last,
sure. But of the two people here right now on this video and podcast,
and right in their homes as opposed to traveling around the world,
I got it last because you got it super early this morning at 7 a.m. Mike also got it in our group chat. I got it last. So here's a brief recap of what happened. We thought I would get it early because Marco, my local video game store owner from my hometown of Viterbo, Italy, usually gets stuff early. And since I'm a long-time customer of like 25 years, he doesn't mind giving me stuff early, provided that I don't, talk about it online, just keep it for myself. So I thought, obviously, I'm going to get it early. And so the context here is that June 2nd, the Monday, was it the Tuesday? Anyway, there was a national holiday in the middle. So Marco told me last week, the Switches shipped. So my Nintendo Switch 2 and Brendon's Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, Brendon's Switch was added after the fact to my pre-order, but Marco was kind enough to also add a second unit. And he told me, look, on Friday, the Switches shipped. But since Monday is a holiday, I think they'll get delivered on Tuesday. So Tuesday rolls around and it's like middle afternoon and I hear nothing from Marco. And the plan was for Marco to get them on Tuesday, overnight them to me so that I would get them with the delivery company on Wednesday morning. That was the plan.
Right.
Tuesday rolls around and at 5 p.m. or something, I text Marco and I'm like, hey, do you know anything? And a couple of hours pass and I'm obviously getting concerned because it's 7 p.m. and I haven't heard nothing back. Until at like 7:30 p.m. or something, I get this audio message from Marco, very upset, saying that the delivery company in Viterbo screwed up the delivery. And all of the Nintendo Switches that he was hoping to get on Tuesday were somewhere else. They did not...
Sitting in some warehouse with the delivery company, no doubt, in Viterbo somewhere.
In Viterbo, in a warehouse somewhere. And I was like, uh-oh. That is a bit of a problem because
that's not good.
That's not good because we were, my mom had just spent the weekend in Rome at my house to watch my dogs because Sylvia and I had gone to a concert. And I figured, well, how am I gonna get this Nintendo Switch? Because Marco in the audio message also told me, I don't even know if I will be able to ship the Switches to you this week because everything is crazy here. They were gonna do a midnight launch event. He was obviously busy with the store, and I was like, well, if he cannot ship them to me, if I cannot go to Viterbo, and if I cannot ask my mom to drive back and forth for a second time between Rome and Viterbo again, what am I gonna do? Wednesday rolls around and Marco tells me, I got the Switches, but I cannot ship them to you. And so, once again, we have to thank my mom for being a miracle worker. I called my mom and I'm like, look, I know that you literally just got back home in Viterbo last night,
Right.
but I need a huge favor. I need you to go grab my Switches on Thursday and bring them to me as quickly as possible Thursday afternoon. And being my mom, gracious as she is and kind as she is, because I'm her only son, just like, I will do it. And so today at 4 p.m., as soon as Marco's store opened again, I previously did the payment online for me and Brendon. My mom went there and she told me that Mark was like, Federico couldn't come. He's having you doing the dirty work and going back to Rome. And she was like, yeah, he's used to this, me always doing him favors. And she got the Switches. She drove to Rome. I got him at like 6 p.m. And she stopped at my house for like 20 minutes just to stop for a little while, refresh herself, grab a coffee. And she drove back to Viterbo.
Oh wow! Well, thank you to your mother for sure.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom.
She made NPC possible today.
She made this possible. Thank you, Mom.
She did. She did. In stark contrast, yesterday I got the email from Walmart. First, I got an email that said your package is delayed, and I was concerned. Turns out it was my camera, which I purchased just like 5 or 6 days ago. But then I got the notification that it was coming sometime today before 10 p.m. And I thought, oh no, if it doesn't come till after, like after dinner, there's no way we can record NPC then, or I'll have it and be able to talk about it. Turns out it showed up at 7 a.m.
Wow.
Some poor guy in his like personal car, this was not like a Walmart truck, rolled up to my house at 7 in the morning in pouring rain and schlepped up to the door and left it and left. And I, set it up right away. So I've been really happy. I've had it since like 7 a.m. and just, getting it all set up. And we should talk about what that all is like and our first impressions.
All right. So first of all, what do we got? So obviously the Nintendo Switch 2, right?
Yep.
The Mario Kart bundle. I also got the Pro Controller. Which I love.
Same.
I really love this thing.
Isn't it nice?
Oh my God, it's so nice. And right here, let me see if I can make it peek through. The Nintendo Switch 2 camera. Not the Pro.
Oh, it's even smaller than I thought it would be.
Small. It's so small. And look, I didn't know this. There's a physical shutter.
I saw that in the MKBHD video that came out last night. Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite small and
that's so you don't think that
USB-C, USB-C
Nintendo's
here,
spying on you.
USB-C here, and so you can rest assured that nobody's spying on you when you do this. All
right.
I'm just gonna park
Mine's
this right
tomorrow.
here, and I gotta say, I previously did the cable management so that I could hit the ground running today, and I got my Nintendo Switch 2 dock right below me under the desk so that I can play in 4K HDR on my Asus gaming monitor, which I did. I was able to play for 30 minutes. You obviously played longer than me today, John, but I played some Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition, just started a new save file, and I did a 50cc Grand Prix, the Mushroom Cup on Mario Kart World. I've only played on my monitor, I should say. I still haven't played portable mode.
Okay, I played very briefly portable, but because I decided to download essentially my entire Switch library, I had this thing connected to my TV all morning long because I connected it to Ethernet, which is probably my first tip, is that you're going to get your games downloaded a lot faster if you connect to Ethernet than if you try to do this over Wi-Fi, even if you have a good Wi-Fi connection, because I had a good Wi-Fi connection and I could tell this was going to take absolutely forever over Wi-Fi. So I got the dock set up, got the Ethernet plugged in, docked it, and then as soon as Mario Kart World was ready, I started playing that game. So I played some of that, played through the first 4 races in the first Grand Prix, did a little knockout later in the day, did like you did, and started a new game of Breath of the Wild. And I also dropped into the middle of a previous save on Tears of the Kingdom, just to get a sense for those 3. And then I downloaded Cyberpunk 2077
Nice.
Ultimate Edition, but I have not played that yet because that took about a half an hour to download, even over Ethernet, and it just finished right before we recorded.
I should also say that I got my Nintendo GameCube controller from Nintendo, which is in the other room.
Oh, yeah.
And I also purchased the official Nintendo micro SD Express card, the 256 gigabyte one, which is in my Nintendo Switch 2 at the moment.
Yeah, I got one of those like right after they went on pre-order because I figured they would be in short supply. Bought it from Amazon, and I have completely filled it up and about half of my internal storage. So I am full up with games right now, about almost 70 games on my
Nice.
Switch 2
I
right
will
now.
download a bunch tonight for sure.
Yeah, it took about 3.5 hours to do the 66 games that were on my Switch 1,
Wow.
on my OLED
Okay.
Switch. Yeah.
Can I share some other setup tips?
Yeah.
So if for whatever reason, like me, you're in a hurry, maybe because you're leaving for a trip and you just want to make sure that you get your Switch 2 set up as quickly as possible. This comes from Mike Hurley. If you're in a hurry and you want to do the transfer from the Nintendo Switch 1 to the Nintendo Switch 2, you should archive the software on your Nintendo Switch 1 so that you don't waste time for the transfer process. Your save data will be transferred, but the full copies of the software will not. So you're going to save a little time. Then,
Right.
the biggest waste of time for me in my setup process has been the multiple Nintendo logins for my account, which
yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. I'm not using the passkey. I'm using
I am. It's so much easier now. If you gotta set up the passkey, you gotta do the passkey.
I should have done it.
It's much faster.
I was doing the old-fashioned password way.
Yeah.
The problem with the password system, even if you do the QR code with your smartphone, the problem is that it's always going to ask you for an additional verification code that gets sent to your email. Let me tell you, Nintendo's email servers today are slow. Like I was getting those emails like 15 minutes later. And I was just sitting here, refreshing my email, waiting for a code to come. So I will be switching to the passkey method as soon as possible.
I have been using the passkey method since it was launched by Nintendo, and it's been rock solid every single time. It's just, like if you have an iPhone, it just uses Face ID, obviously, and logs you right in. And then I also, of course, checked all those boxes that allow you to bypass logging in to go to the store after the first time you try to download something new that you've purchased. I have another tip too, Federico. It's for the Pro Controller. I have an Anker battery that has a little meter on it that shows how many watts and something is drawing. And the Pro Controller comes with a USB-A to USB-C cable. And when I plugged it into my battery pack, it was fluctuating between 2 and 2.5 watts. On the draw, which is very, very low.
Yeah, that's low.
And it was staying at 2 most of the time. I switched to a USB-C cable and it at least stayed steady at 2.5. It still took forever to fully charge. I don't know how much charge it had to begin with, but it took forever to get it fully charged. But a regular USB-C to USB-C cable is probably the best bet. Probably saved a little bit of time.
Okay, so that being said, where do we begin? Like first impressions. This console is obviously much bigger than the Nintendo Switch 1, and I think it looks and feels so nice. I do have some initial reservations about, and this is pretty much what we expected. Maybe the flatness of the Joy-Cons.
The flatness, yeah, because part of it is, well, there are two things about the Joy-Cons. They are better because just because they're bigger, the buttons and the sticks are bigger, that improves the situation quite a bit. However, it's so flat and it is heavier. I think you're going to feel it in your hands if you play a lot for a long
Yeah.
time in handheld mode. And I have not played a long time in handheld mode yet. This is definitely a device that is just begging for the gaming pillow.
or for some, because my main problem is the grip right here, that it's so flat right here.
Yeah, it kind of digs into your heel of your hand.
Yeah,
right?
because when you grab it like this, you see you don't have any contour shape. So I
Right.
think I could use some grips, but the thing I will say, I mean, it's obviously bigger, as you can tell. I mean, when you compare it
Yeah.
to the Switch one, it's obviously bigger, but it feels premium, it feels high quality, and what I do love about it is the magnetic Joy-Con system. Like, this is so nice.
Oh, it's so much nicer than the old way.
It's so much nicer to do. It's
so easy to get them in and on and off, right?
It's so satisfying also when you detach them and then you do it again.
Yeah. When I pulled the Joy-Con out of the box, that was the first moment that I knew that this was going to be a more premium Switch, because they were kind of on the sides of the screen. You pull them out, get them out of their little plastic baggies, and you hold one of these Joy-Con, and it just feels a lot more solid than the old ones did. And the thing that was different to me, that thing I guess I didn't expect, is the way the buttons work to remove the Joy-Con, because they go kind of perpendicular to the triggers, which I think is super smart, because there's no way while you're playing and pressing on the shoulder buttons
that you're going in that direction.
Exactly. There's no way you're going in that direction, so there's no way to accidentally disengage your Joy-Con
and it's
while
nice,
you're playing a game.
And it's nice that when you press the button, so you see there's a button right here, it physically moves this little nub. You see, it does that, and that's what that's what the touch is.
It's just giving it a little push to disconnect the magnet a little bit to help lever it out of there. But it's the magnetic thing. I never took my Joy-Con off because it was just kind of a pain to do it. I would rather leave the Joy-Con on and grab another controller if I was going to play my Switch. But this, I could definitely see taking these out and putting it in the little holder that comes with it too, which I don't have with me. I think I left it upstairs. But it's a lot like the old one, really.
Couple more things that I will say. Immediately a fan of the double USB-C port. I took advantage of it immediately, charging at the top, plugging in Apple USB-C earpods, the old-fashioned wired ones, at the bottom. Totally works. So you can use USB-C earpods from Apple. They're like,
I hadn't even thought of doing that. Yeah,
they're like $20 or something. Super convenient. Immediately a fan of the double USB-C. I like the kickstand, the wider kickstand. I am a little concerned that it does feel a little flimsy. Maybe just because it's so thin. This plastic part right here, it's very thin.
Is it plastic? I think it's metal with a coating.
Well, is it metal? I don't know. I think
it's metal.
Maybe it does hold up.
I think there's parts of it that are plastic around the base, but I don't know if it's actually.
On the Pro Controller, I will say, first impression, this is probably my new favorite controller.
This thing is so good. It's so quiet, isn't it?
It's John. I
thought of you immediately.
Thank you. Let me listen to it again. Oh my God, it's so quiet. This has to be.
It's quieter. It's quieter than a DualSense controller.
I think this is the new king of quietness when it comes to controllers, and it's got a headphone jack. So if you wanna, you can finally dock your Switch and just plug in your wired earbuds at the bottom of the Pro Controller. The sticks feel great. They're so smooth when they glide around like this. Incredibly smooth analog sticks, and it's both comfortable and compact at the same time. Whatever work they did, you remember that developer interview where they mentioned like they did a lot of studies to understand like how they could improve on the shape of the original Pro Controller, which was already a quite comfortable controller. This is an improvement in both size and weight.
Here.
Oh, nice.
All right, so I've got both of them here because I really wanted to kind of get a sense. This is the old one, and this is the new one. And what's different is that the new one is kind of a unibody design. The hand grips blend right into the body on the new
Mm.
one, which the old one had a seam there. The old one also had kind of dimples. It had a texture on the grips, which the new one is perfectly smooth. It's not quite what I would consider like a soft touch
Mm.
plastic, but it almost feels warm to me. It's very
Yes.
comfortable to hold. It's very soft almost,
Yes.
without being like the rubbery soft touch that what soft touch usually means to people, I think.
Yeah.
But have you tried the programmable buttons on the bottom? I haven't done
Not
that yet.
yet, not yet, not yet. There's still like a lot of stuff that I need to download. Like for
Yeah.
example, I started downloading the GameCube emulator now. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so I saw some initial complaints on social media about the fact that this
Yes.
is an LCD display. And I mean, we knew this. If you compare the Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch OLED and the Nintendo Switch 2, the OLED looks better, but this is a really good LCD display, I will say.
Oh, it really is.
This
Yeah, it's
this
top notch.
it's a top-notch LCD display. This looks really good to me. I did see that when you dock the Nintendo Switch 2, there's a setting in there. I had to do like HDR calibration for my monitor
So
and all
did
that.
I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Apparently, if you're doing 4K, you cannot do 120 hertz, which is to be expected because we also knew it was not going to be HDMI 2.1. So
Right.
it's not the latest HDMI version. Um, I just opened for a brief second while you were talking Mario Kart on the LCD. It's not OLED, so the blacks are not as black as the Nintendo Switch OLED. But I mean, this is a really good display. This is a
Yeah.
really good image that you're getting here. Um, what have you played? You played longer than me, John, today. What have
Yeah,
you
yeah.
played?
So, like I said, the first thing I did was play Mario Kart World, and I was blown away by the depth of this game because I just set it. I was like, I haven't played a Mario Kart game in a long time. I just set it to this 50cc level for the first circuit of the Grand Prix, played the first 4 tracks, and won every one of my events, every one of my races. But what struck me about it was how much you could do within each of those courses. There was so much going on. There were so many, shortcuts and rail riding and side jumping and and new items that you could throw at your competitors. There's just so much going on with the game, that I think it's going to be the sort of thing that's replayable just over and over and over again. It's also really cool to be able to be racing against, what is it, 24 total racers. So even in single player mode, you feel like you're playing with a crowd, and it makes it more exciting and fun that way. I then later in the day tried Knockout,
Hmm.
and that is really fun. It's a really long race. It's like point to point. It's not a circuit,
Okay.
and it's just kind of like takedown, burnout takedown a little bit, but with
Hmm.
Mario, and you do the usual pick your character, pick your ride,
Okay.
and try to eliminate the other racers and come in first. Didn't do as well on that one. My first time playing Knockout, but I like Knockout a lot. I've always liked that with Burnout, so I think I'm going to be playing that a lot more with Mario Kart 2. But it's a great game, and it's so smooth too. One of the things, it's just, to me, every single game that I've opened up so far, I've looked at it, and it's visually stunning compared to even the OLED Switch. It's, especially on a TV. I've been playing mainly on my 4K OLED TV, and it looks stunning and it feels buttery smooth. That's the thing, is like you know, it, the frame rates don't really bother me on the older Switches in general, but you sure can't tell when you have the faster frame rates. It's just, everything feels a lot more cinematic and a lot more fluid.
Yeah, I saw a lot of videos comparing Pokemon Scarlet. Apparently, Pokemon Scarlet is like the game that got the biggest glow up on the Nintendo Switch too.
That's what I heard. I haven't tried
and
that yet.
and I'm looking forward to dipping back into Pokemon Scarlet again because I never really
Yeah.
played either of the DLCs, and like the performance boost and like just how many Pokemon you can see in the overworld, for example. It's just staggering the kind of upgrades that game got on the Switch too.
Yeah, Lake Lag or whatever, it's nicknamed. I saw some side by side shots there, and the number of Pokemon you could see in the upgrade
Yeah.
is huge compared to
Yeah.
the other version.
Just a couple of random things that are popping into my mind right now. Shout out to the setup music. The setup.
Oh, isn't it good?
Oh, it's so
And
nice.
there's no way to get back to it. I don't
No,
think I haven't figured it out
I
yet.
hope it lands on Nintendo Music in the near
Oh, I hope so
future.
too. It's so chill and
It's so chill and
it's
nice.
the best.
Even when I was getting annoyed by the fact that I was not getting a verification code over email, but the music kept playing, I was like, yeah, okay, at the very least, I got this nice music going on.
Well, speaking of sound, though, we should mention that the speakers are louder. I think they're clearer and crisper on the handheld itself. So the thing sounds great. I've had it about 50%, and it sounds fantastic. There have been tweaks to the sound design for the UI. Everything there's just different sound effects, and they're a little more. I guess they're a little more complex than the original Switch, I'd say, and there are more of them in different places, I think.
Nice. The Nintendo Switch eShop is doing a pretty nice job at being faster than before, but also having different sections for like, okay, here's Nintendo Switch 2 editions. And so you can go in there and like I purchased, for example, for 10 euros, whatever, the Breath of the Wild upgrade. Here's the other games that you previously own, and it shows you like you own this game, you have a virtual game card for this game, and it's gotten a Nintendo Switch 2 free update. And then here's the other new stuff today. Like I think they're doing a nice job separating visually in the eShop
Right.
all the things that you can get. I will be downloading a lot of stuff tonight. I'll just leave it plugged into my dock and I'll just start downloading everything, including Cyberpunk. I think Cyberpunk will be the game that I will play on my flight to California, along with along with everything else, obviously. Have you tested Game Chat at all?
I have not. I have not at all. We should do that. Maybe we can do it with Mike later today or something. But I should, since you didn't go through the full setup process of transferring from another Switch, I should mention what that was like, because one of the things you go through the initial setup, which is just like, choose your country and your language and your time zone, and your Wi-Fi password, the usual kind of thing. And then it asks you if you want to transfer your game saves. And that's really pretty quick. I did that over Wi-Fi, and it took like maybe 10 minutes or something to get my saves from my account downloaded, because those are already on the cloud. And then it prompts you if you want to transfer from another Switch. And that process went smoothly for me, but it's an awful lot of back and forth. Both devices have to be plugged in. There's logging into devices, confirming things, using your, and this is where the passkey really comes in handy, because I probably did that 2 or 3 times through the whole process. There's even a little update that has to be downloaded to the original Switch before you can transfer things to the Switch 2. And that's besides the system update that came out, like 2 weeks ago or something like that, because I had done that update in anticipation of doing this, but there was still a small update that had to be done. And once that all kind of got through all those sign-ins, it just started downloading my games that were in my library. And as Federico said, if you don't want to do all of them, you should archive in advance, because that'll save you a ton of time. I just went ahead and went for it. I wanted to have everything on my new Switch, and Ethernet made a big difference there. But it still took, for those 66 games, it took 3.5 hours, which is a long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was. I would say, kudos to Nintendo. The process is relatively smooth. There's a lot of steps when you're transferring, but it still went smoothly, and their servers are holding up. I did notice. I started like 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. Eastern with the downloads, the really aggressive downloads on Ethernet, and it went really fast. The first half of my library was downloaded pretty quickly. It started to slow down mid-morning as more time zones woke up across the United States, and eventually it was pretty slow by lunchtime. But I got it all done before we started recording.
Yeah, nice. Breath of the Wild looks incredible in 4K. Like
So
seeing
good.
the Great Plateau in 4K. Oh my! Like
Yeah.
I know that this is a cliche, but it really does look like the version of the game that it was supposed to be. You know,
Well, it looks like a movie. It's so cinematic the way that game opens up.
it looks incredible. I mean, it still sounds incredible too, but like when you see when you walk into the Great Plateau for the first time and you see all the detail in 4K, the textures,
Yeah.
the frame rate, obviously, like it looks fantastic. I had I am really looking forward to digging into Mario Kart World because just doing the Grand Prix, so I haven't tested the Knockout Tour, I haven't tested the
Right.
free roam mode,
I haven't done
but
that
just
either.
doing the Grand Prix, just in the so you're obviously limited in the Grand Prix because you got to do the race. But even in
Right.
the self-contained race, there's so many more options for like different shortcuts and different platforms than before. Like even just when you're limited to the race, there's so many more options than that what it used to be in Mario Kart 8. Um,
Yeah, there really are. In Breath of the Wild, I made it too. I activated the towers and then I went to the first shrine, and that's where I stopped. I just wanted to kind of get a sense of that opening area, meeting the old man, and
yeah,
and doing all that stuff. It was
nice.
really nice.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, the plan for me right now is to load it up with as many games as possible. Um, I'm just gonna bring this one to California. I'm not gonna bring my Steam Deck. I'm not gonna bring anything else. I think I'm just gonna play everything on the Nintendo Switch too, and I will bring my USB-C earbuds, just so that I don't need to worry about pairing with Bluetooth headphones on a plane. And I will find a spot on my desk for the I gotta choose at some point. The Piranha plant still camera still hasn't arrived, so I will have to choose whether I want to use the Piranha plant or the official Nintendo Switch 2 camera. And then we're obviously gonna play some Mario Kart in person. We're gonna do that.
Yes,
We're gonna
of
try,
course, of
and
course.
then we'll do remote. But now, obviously, the priority is to get the Nintendo Switch 2 to Brendon. That is
Yes.
what needs to happen. I need to take measurements of the box, find another box to put the Nintendo Switch 2 inside, and then find a balance between a shipping that is not too crazy expensive, but also that is fast enough to Japan. It obviously comes down to Brendon and how much Brendon wants to spend to get a Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. Um,
Yeah, hopefully we will he'll have it by the time he records with us again. Not for XL this week, but for the following week
yeah,
he should have it. I should mention too, Federico. So, um, I did get for California this Tomtoc
nice.
slim carrying case. It's got kind of the Nintendo's Super Mario colors there on the logo. It's I haven't put it in here yet, but it's a pretty open it up a little bit. Pretty nice case. Soft inside, has a little flap, pretty typical. Has a little flap for some games if you're buying the physical games. And nice rigid outside.
Nice.
Should protect it pretty well for the trip. So I'm looking forward. I think that's like $30 or something like that. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, I'm really excited. Let's make plans for Excel. What are you going to play so that we can talk about tomorrow morning when we record with Brendon? I think I'm
Well,
going to play Cyberpunk.
I am gonna try and start Cyberpunk and try the free roam mode in Mario
That's
Kart
what I want to do too.
because I really do think that the conversation now will be split in two different directions. Testing older Nintendo Switch 1 games again with better performance, revisiting some older games, maybe some games that you never really got to, like me, for example. I never really got into Pokemon Scarlet, so that's an option.
Yeah.
Versus exploring the massive game that Mario Kart World seems to be. So there, once again, we have an open world game for the launch of a Nintendo console. Only this time, it's not a Zelda game; it's a Mario
It's a
Kart game.
racing game.
It's a racing game, which is a
Yeah.
little different, and so I think
Very different.
that will be the conversation. But judging from the early previews of the game, it seems like the map truly is massive, especially when you enable the free exploration mode. So that I think I want to try that for XL, and we're gonna make Brendon jealous. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's the whole point of Excel this week is to make Brendon as jealous as humanly possible. And I gotta say that I've seen a lot of negative takes about the Switch 2
Mhm.
over the past week about how there's too few games, how it's too expensive. And yes, it is true that it is very expensive. There are a lot of accessories that add to that price, and the games are quite expensive too. And there are not a lot of truly original new games. However, a game like Mario Kart World is so massive and deep that I personally, between that and revisiting favorite old games, I'm totally fine
Yeah.
for the next month before Donkey Kong comes out.
Yeah, you can play for months with Mario Kart and existing games and stuff like Cyberpunk or Fantasy Life,
Right.
or like these other chunky games. Like you're set for the whole summer. Really.
Yakuza 0 Definitive Edition or something is there, know, too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, these are. I mean, I literally played for 30 minutes and then opened up my camera and my Mac and sat down to record. So we'll talk more.
Same.
We'll talk more in Excel. We'll talk more in the following weeks, and hopefully Brendon will get one as quickly as possible.
Soon.
Yeah.
Soon. All right. Well, go get yourself some dinner, Federico. I will get this edited and out as soon as possible, and we will see everybody on Excel, all of our Patreon members, in just a day's time. Talk to you later, Federico.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.